The following is the report of a techno-savant from the Old York region, one Mica Snow. She, alongside colleague Max Capacity, were crucial to the understanding and first contact with the unstable in Devil's Den. What follows is an account of their experience.
The unstable. I'll admit, I haven't dedicated myself to researching them for some time, though I've been gathering what information I can. I first heard about this new creature, we called it at the time, from the telegraphs sent by the various faith armies marching towards the Devil's Den. Word spread quickly of monsters that glowed bright blue and drove any scions in a rage into a murderous frenzy. At the time, I wasn't really sure what to make of the stories, but then it all became horrifyingly real. In the Devil's Den, I went on an expedition into the local grave mine with the help of my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Maximus Capacity Ewing. The reasons for doing so had nothing to do with the unstable. We were tasked with figuring out why the activity within the grave mine was so irregular by following a man who had died his last. Things quickly took a turn, however. While attempting to find our way out, we came face to face with one of these unstable in what we referred to as the upper morgue, a section of the mortis amaranthine that was irregular in its separation from the rest of the biomass and in its relative proximity to the surface. The unstable began to, it seemed to feed on the body of the deceased before turning to us. We chose to flee rather than to wait and see what it would do. For years this encounter would remain a mystery to me until I began recompiling my notes a few days ago. Then everything seemed to click. I'll get to that later. After our experience, Max and I began researching into the unstable. Our work turned up some answers, but far more questions, some of which would only be answered months or even years later. Here is what I know. The unstable, as we know them in the Devil's Den, were able to exert a powerful control over the minds of any scions within a certain range. This control was not broken after a short period of time, only death of the scion or the unstable itself would end it. They were created from remnants, but from what I've been able to gather, only certain remnants were able to become unstable. They glow bright blue, and this is due to a procedure in which their blood is replaced with glowing blue liquid. This procedure, artificial as it is, must be constantly upkept in order to keep the unstable alive. Transfusions of glowing blue liquid via an external circulatory system are required at least once every 24 hours. At the time of the most recent 12 knots gather, however, my colleague Dr. Dells hypothesized that these unstable would soon begin to mutate and evolve into their own self-sustaining strain if they hadn't already. Reading over this portion of my notes is what finally brought me understanding of what Max and I saw in the grave mine that day. The unstable was not eating the corpses of the dead. It was attempting to sustain itself on what little glowing blue liquid it could find inside the skull and spinal cord, like sucking marrow from a bone. If my hunch is correct, this is one of the first known instances of an unstable attempting to gain sustenance from a source outside of whoever was keeping it. It was the beginning of the next step. This is where there is a gap in my understanding. At this time, I have only questions. Some I've been speculating on for years. Others, though, are brought on by these new developments. All of them unnerve me. Who created the unstable? How? And for what purpose? Why were they seen in the Devil's Den? Why did they vanish for so long? Somewhere between the Devil's Den and a few months ago, did a rapid change occur, or something else entirely? We are now seeing reports of sentient, self-sustaining unstable across the entire continent, working with irons and hiding from those who hunt them, but what brought this on? What was the catalyst for these recent evolutionary changes? Was it a natural mutation or an artificial creation? How are they involved with the ironworks and the revolution as a whole? And most importantly, what next? The last question, at least, I can answer without hesitation. We find them, we help them, and we protect them. Savannah wrote that evolution comes from mutation, and we cannot allow the ironworks to stamp out a new strain as it is taking its first steps. These aren't creatures, and they're not monsters. They're people, just like you, and just like me.